So this Logan Paul apologized to me from Coffeezilla's presence.
Well, it's finally over. Logan Paul apologized.
Coffeezilla, your slimiest. He is a lopsided
Okay, took it
journalist
back.
with an agenda, more like an internet criminal.
Oops, wrong video. That was the first response. He actually apologized in another response.
Ano
It's like a little
tawag?
gnat. It's like a little annoying gnat. It bothers me. The defamation lawsuit, that is happening because this is wrong.
Okay.
This is wrong.
Hold on, wait a second. That's not it either. Turns out it's actually on his secondary channel. That's why I couldn't find it. It's entitled, Thank You, Coffeezilla. It's the third response from Logan Paul, and it's a pretty big change in Logan's attitude so far.
That one, huh?
So let's see what he has to say to us.
Coffeezilla is not a criminal.
Oh, that's a relief. I thought Logan was going to hire me. But in all seriousness, this video does have some major admissions in it I want to go through. For one, Logan apologizes to me.
I called him. I apologized. My initial response to his series was that of fire, an ego.
Not only that, Logan also pledges a $1.3 million refund plan for people who bought his NFTs.
I am personally
Hunting.
committing 1,000
Nice.
ETH to this, which is about $1.3 million.
In addition to that, he also promises to finish CryptoZoo, which was left abandoned.
And then step 3, obviously finish and deliver the game as outlined in the white paper.
Now, I'll be honest, this is a big change in tone, and honestly, a lot of this is good news. It's great that victims are going to get something back.
Yeah,
Logan
finally.
seems to acknowledge his continuous lapse in judgment. He's not suing me, which is also cool. And frankly, this new response is just way better than his last two. I think we can all acknowledge that, while also acknowledging that it's not really a perfect response either. There are still major problems here. Like, for example, many of the victims just have been ignored in this response. A lot of accusations have gone unanswered, and worse, Logan still seems to be playing the victim a lot. So in this video, I'm going to do my best to give Logan credit where credit is absolutely due, while also sharing moments where I think this apology fell flat. And let me start with a positive. For example, I think if you were an outsider who is not affected by this scam and you wanted a reason to love Logan Paul again, I think this nails it. I mean, he's giving back some of the money, he's apologizing. So if you're a card-carrying
doing some
member
good
of the
thing,
Low
I
Gang,
guess.
you can rest easy here. Logan says he's sorry, he says he's making things right, and I think that's the point of this video, is to speak to his core audience, to tell them he didn't scam anyone, and for what it's worth, I think Logan succeeds here. The problem is, I don't think I or the CryptoZoo holders were who Logan was really addressing here. And this is where the response falls more flat, because he doesn't adequately address the real victims of CryptoZoo, which I think they're rightfully angry about. And I wanted to spend some time talking about that because, again, they've been the heartbeat of this whole story, and they feel very differently about this response than Logan's core audience does. They don't feel like it's enough. And I want to talk about why. Starting with the $1.3 million repayment plan. Because obviously this is the strongest part of Logan's entire response, actually opening up his wallet. And I don't want to minimize that in this video. I just do want to put it in context because $1.3 million is a lot of money. Unfortunately, the scam was much bigger than $1.3 million. So the fact is,
That's
most
more.
victims are not going to be made whole by this plan. Just in Zoo coins alone, blockchain evidence shows $7.7 million was stolen by Logan's team, depending on who you believe. And this refund does
And then
nothing
1/7.
for those victims. It doesn't even apply to the holder of Zoo coins at all. You get nothing if you bought this in-game currency.
Yeah.
This refund only applies to current egg holders. So
Oh,
they
got
can
it.
cash out that NFT for the initial mint price in crypto, which matters sort of because crypto has crashed a lot. So even though people spent $2.5 million on these eggs, in order to refund all these holders at mint price, it now only costs $1.3 million in today's money. Which again is nice, but doesn't do enough because the Zoo coins were most of this scam. I mean, that's where most of the money was spent. It wasn't just on the NFTs. It was on this in-game currency, which Logan seems to have no intention of refunding. And his response for why is pretty bad. He responds to somebody who lost $80,000 who told him, "I hope this isn't just doing what you have to do technically to not get sued." Logan replies with a screenshot of his white paper and later explains to another member of the Discord, "I believe there has been a misconception here. As outlined in the white paper, Zoo was created to support CryptoZoo and was not intended to be an investment vehicle," when you sold or bought is not my decision. And look, to be fair to him, there was a misconception that Zoo was an investment vehicle, but it's a misconception that he created. I mean, he's the one who said Crypto Zoo was a fun game that earned you money, and how it earned you that money was that your NFTs earned you Zoo tokens. You know, things that were supposed to have value. That was the whole point of the game. So to suggest that these coins weren't advertised as valuable or an investment vehicle is insane, especially since Logan's own team had rules for selling based strictly on the value of said investment vehicle. Quote, rules for selling, no selling until a $200 million market cap. So I think it's fair to say if Logan's own team were buying Zoo coins early, waiting for them to go up in value to a certain level and then selling them, that sounds like an investment vehicle, albeit a very stupid one. So this explanation definitely doesn't hold water, and Logan obviously just doesn't want to be on the hook for Zoo coins. Instead, he just kind of wants to refund the much smaller part of the NFTs. What makes this even worse is that this refund doesn't even apply to everyone who bought these NFTs, because some of these people sold their NFTs at a deep loss thinking that Crypto Zoo was over, that it was abandoned. And there's actually a way you could have tracked this whole thing, or Logan could have, and, you know, found a way to repay all the people who lost money on eggs. But instead, this refund only applies to current holders, meaning nobody who sold during the year and a half this project was abandoned gets anything back, which is a large percentage of the actual victims. And this is pretty bad. This was brought to Logan's attention by one of the people in the Discord. Joao says, quote, Logan Paul, what will happen to the people who sold everything at a loss when the project appeared to be, quote, abandoned? Will everyone who minted be able to get that refund, or just the current owners? Now, in reply to this, someone in the Discord said, if you sell, you lose common investing knowledge. And Logan replies, seeming to agree with this idea, which is just kind of a terrible perspective for Logan to have when he seems to be saying that he wants to refund these people, and he's the reason a lot of these people left. And this is where Logan's new apology starts to ring more hollow. It's in all of the follow-ups after the response video, because I don't know if he can help himself from betraying how he really feels about this, because in another Discord exchange, Logan says, please do not put any more money into CryptoZoo, which, by the way, is quite reasonable to say. But then somebody follows up and says, guys, can someone explain what he said with not investing? But rather than replying, oh, guys, I just meant like I don't want anyone else losing money, or, you know, I don't want anyone else recklessly gambling, Logan replies instead, quote, I will no longer be the scapegoat for anyone's financial decisions, which is a wild response for someone who's claiming to refund people, because it implies that he thinks he's the victim here. And this is just insane to say as the face of this project, which got everyone involved, because I think it betrays how he feels about this situation. He doesn't seem to see anything wrong with advertising a game that will make you money, it never delivering, millions of dollars being stolen by criminals he hired. And then when all of those people want their money back, he feels like he's the scapegoat. Like, oh, these guys shouldn't have believed me when I advertised to them a fun game that will make you money. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, Logan had a simple job to do. All he had to do was just come out, apologize, get as much money back for the victims as possible. But he himself can't help but play the victim here. In fact, I have a third example of how Logan might really feel, because Logan tweeted right before this response. He says, quote, the Matrix is real. Pray you never become its target. Now, I guess he's trying to channel Andrew Tate here unsuccessfully, basically saying like, I'm getting attacked, not because I did anything wrong or scammed anyone. I'm just too much of a truth teller. I'm just an enemy of the system. That's why I must be getting attacked. But if that's the case, we then have to wonder, did the Matrix force you to apologize? Did it force you to hand back 1.3 million? I just think comments like this go so far to undercut his apology, because it's very clear that instead of actually like caring about the victims, he feels like he's a victim. I mean, he's saying like, oh, pray you never become its target. Who's the Matrix though, Logan? Like, is it your fans who got robbed? Who are the agents coming after you? I know it's not me. I know you're not saying I'm the Matrix here in my $10 million studio, because after all, you're thanking me. You're thanking the Matrix. Like, What is this response? It's so childish the way he speaks about this stuff. And again, this isn't to be dismissive of Logan's actions if he follows through, because there is a lot of good that 1.3 million can do. And you know what? If he goes back and he finishes the game, that's also good. But it's just so frustrating when the good that Logan seems to be doing, he's doing the bare minimum of at the last possible second with motivations that seem to be, in the proper context, to say it lightly, irreparably tainted by self-interest. Now, I'm not going to address Logan's other 2 response videos, which are mostly like attacking me, because Logan sort of walked those back now. He's apologized. He said he was going to delete them. I think he deleted one of them. The other one's still up. I don't know if the impulsive episode's going to go down. Either way, it's just much less interesting now that he says he doesn't like mean it anymore. He's not going to sue. So I don't feel the need to publicly defend myself. If you're curious about all the wild stuff that was wrong in those first 2 responses, I'll put the video live on my Patreon, but I didn't want to release it at the time because I thought there was a better chance at getting a good ending for the victims here if I was a bit more diplomatic with Logan at this critical juncture when he was deciding whether he was going to give money back or not. I don't know if I succeeded in moving the needle, but that was certainly my intention. Either way, now that Logan has responded with his plan and I've given my perspective on how much I think it's rooted in, self-interest versus a genuine, attempt to help out the victims, I think this is about as much as I'm going to be able to contribute to this situation. I mean, I do think it's incredible that even $1.3 million came of this, while I also can acknowledge that it's not nearly enough for the real victims. I'll follow up in the future to make sure that he actually gives that money away. But for now, I think most of the CryptoZoo victims, if they're still hungry for justice, are going to have to take it up with Logan in ways that are different than I can do on YouTube here. Which, by the way, I think some of them are. In fact, I just saw a lawyer on YouTube, Attorney Tom. He's going to start the legal process going after Logan using stuff like the arbitration clause in their terms of service. So I just wanted to say, if you're a victim of CryptoZoo, you can check out that video, which I'll link to you if you want, or consult with a lawyer, because I'm sure for the people who lost a lot of money, this is certainly not the end for them, because they didn't get a full refund, and I'm sure they'll be seeking one. But even though it's not the end for them, it is the end for me for now. This is the end of the CryptoZoo saga, and I wanted to say and give a huge heartfelt thank you to everyone who viewed this and supported me throughout this. It's been insane, the level of support when Logan was threatening us, and I do not take it lightly. There is an alternate universe where if that hadn't happened, Logan would feel emboldened to sue me and probably not give much back to the victims. So it's your support that made all the difference and got the victims at least something. So that wraps it up. Thank you for watching.
Isn't it? I guess he get money to sell these victims. I mean, it's better than nothing. So it's a bit of the